Cole Kmet gives an update on Caleb Williams and his progression through what he's seen so far, and I think it's going to be one Chicago Bears fans like a lot. We're also going to talk about DAndre Swift really turning some heads in regards to on Hard Knocks, even though the Bears aren't on there officially yet. And we're going to get into the Bears landing a edge rusher in the 2025 mock draft. We're going to get to all that plus the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content. So, Cole Kmet talks about Caleb Williams, and he says this: you can see why he's been so successful thus far in his football career, and why he's had the types of intangibles to succeed in the NFL. I'm really excited for him. He's been putting in a lot of work, and you can see the progress he's making through the OTA period. We've heard nothing but basically the same thing about Caleb Williams since training camp, OTAs, all that type of stuff, is that, Caleb Williams is somebody who's learning on the fly. It took credit of this Chicago Bears coaching staff. They're giving Caleb Williams the full playbook so that he can learn, he can adapt, he can grow. We've even heard Caleb Williams really, setting up throwing sessions with the wide receivers as well between now and the official start of training camp. So the fact is that Caleb Williams is owning his own development. And that is something that I have been saying for a long time, is that it's not if Caleb Williams is going to have some bad games. It's not if Caleb Williams is going to have some mistakes. It's how he grows from those mistakes that I'm looking forward the most to in his rookie season. That's how I'm going to evaluate Caleb Williams. I know some Bears fans have this evaluation that they're going to do of him on whether he lives up to huge expectations of CJ Stroud season or whatever else. I think ultimately it comes down to just this one thing for Caleb. Is how well does he develop over this rookie year through his progression, through his decision-making? How does he learn from those mistakes? Because the mistakes are going to come. Some have the expectation, because he's been given the generational label, that somehow means that he's going to be abstained from making the type of mistakes that we've seen rookies make. No, he's going to make rookie mistakes. There are going to be games where he throws some interceptions. This is even probably going to be a game where maybe a mistake cost us a game. But how you grow and develop from that is the key. And that's what we want to see here. And the Bears have put him in a situation with their roster that it is going to try to maximize off and put him in the best situations possible. Aaron Cole Kmet, who's probably going to, you would think, going to end up being one of Caleb Williams' favorite targets just because of how consistent he is, and the fact that we're going to, can't even say that we're necessarily going to run a simple version of the offense right away if they're turning it all over to him. But this is what I would like. This is what I like to hear when it comes to Caleb Williams. And it seems like the Bears, not that he's lived up to the hype that surrounded him from the media and things like that, but it seems like he's gaining the respect of his peers in that locker room by the way that he's been able to perform. And that's all that I call for. And I think that's all we can realistically ask for as well at this point in stage of where the offseason is. As we get through preseason, of course, those barriers change as far as what you want to see from Caleb Williams. But I really like what we're seeing from him so far. And I think he's showing that, he's developing already, and he's making the right decisions, and he's putting himself in the right situations to try to impact the Chicago Bears team. And so that's all I think we can hope for. And whether he's gonna be amazing or not, or whatever it is, live up to some of these crazy expectations, whatever it is, it just comes down to Caleb has to grow, Caleb has to develop, and Caleb has to be the best version of him. And as the season ebbs and flows, and we face some adversity as a team, and he faces some individually, how does he face that? And that's going to be the hallmark of a really good quarterback at the NFL level. And as the Bears are hoping that they found their franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams, we want to see those things continue to grow and develop for him. And this offense, right, that we've heard through OTAs and things like that, the offense is behind the defense as far as their development. And that should have been expected. But I think this offense coming up and facing this defense as often as they're going to in practice and things like that should help maybe jumpstart that a little bit as well. But Caleb Williams owning that development and coming in and being what, this team needs him to be. Not what fans want him to be or everything right away, but what this team needs him to be in this season. And they need him to not only manage the game well, they need him to throw the ball well, they need him to pick apart defenses, and they need him to understand and to show the poise at that quarterback position. The quarterbacking is the most important part of that. That's what I do love about Caleb Williams' game, is that while he can make plays with his legs, he's always looking to make plays with his arm first. And then we'll see that development of if things break down, him get creative with his legs, but that's not something he's looking to rely on seemingly very much early on. So, I think that's all the things. Caleb Williams, like I said, between the coaching staff, between players, between the front office, it seems like everybody has been impressed with what Caleb Williams has shown them so far. We just need to make sure it's going to be on the football field as well. That's my thought process on that one. Now, into a player that has garnered a lot of kind of criticism, between being called one of the worst signings by the Chicago Bears, which is still weird to me. DAndre Swift has gotten a lot of kind of, not from Bears fans, I don't even think from a lot of football people, but like from the media. Like, it seems like if anybody's going to pick anything apart with the Chicago Bears and what they've revamped offensively, DAndre Swift has been that. And it's been that because of the money that's spent on a running back, where in an era where teams don't spend a whole hell of a lot of money on running backs, some people even view it as you spent money on Swift when him and Khalil Herbert have very similar strengths. But I think DAndre Swift has a couple of extras on that as well. Plus, Khalil Herbert is somebody who's going to be a free agent this upcoming year. But DAndre Swift is going to be an important part of what the Chicago Bears offense looks like. And in the Giants Hard Knocks, it was said this in the clip. This is from the front office who said this. Swift was kind of the interesting one. Then they go on to say, this guy from a physical talent standpoint can make up some of the things you lose from Saquon, from the explosive standpoint, from a pass game standpoint. And then says this: if you're signing him, he's going to be more of a package player. You're going to pair him with somebody in a running back committee. Is that not everything that the Chicago Bears did with DAndre Swift? When you look at it, yeah, they packaged him. He's going to be part of a running back committee. Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert. Right now, him and Roschon Johnson have very different skill sets, and that could be why Roschon ends up getting a lot of snaps. We'll see. We've already heard things that Khalil Herbert could fall down the depth chart, but the guys went out and got somebody who's a playmaker, and that's what DAndre Swift is. He is a playmaker, and sometimes, the analysts, I get it. It's their job in the offseason to find things and angles to write and talk about, but the doubt around DAndre Swift and what he could bring, to me, it was always crazy to me. He was one of the first signings by the Chicago Bears that they did as well in the opening of free agency as well. And he's coming off a career year of 1,049 yards, and he gives the Bears the running back that can be versatile in both the run and the pass game. And since we're losing the aspect of what Justin Fields brought to the run game, because Caleb Williams isn't going to run that much, getting somebody like DAndre Swift in here to pair with Khalil Herbert, to pair with Roschon Johnson was a key thing. And so, seeing Bears fans really react to this clip, it's like, hey, we've been telling you, us, Just Another Year Chicago, Pat the Designer, we've been telling you guys for a while now that DAndre Swift is legit. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come in and people are going to all of a sudden view him as one of the best running backs in the NFL. In no way am I saying that at all. But what I am saying is that don't sleep on what DAndre Swift can bring to this team. And I think that ultimately, there's a lot of questions, of course, around what does this mean for Khalil Herbert, and that's something we'll cross when we get to that bridge. I'm not too worried about that right now per se, but in DAndre Swift, you are getting a guy who is just simply a playmaker, and you need guys like that on your team, especially when you're revamping your offense. You look at we already talked about the 1,049 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns last year, 214 yards as well in the passing game, 1 touchdown there, and that 214 yards was the least amount in his NFL career. He came in his rookie season getting 357 yards in the passing game, but only 520 yards rushing. This guy can be used in a varying amount of ways, and that's what you want. We've talked about with this offense, the offensive line acquisitions, we got people that can play multiple positions. But with the skill positions, you want players that can be used in multiple different ways. DAndre Swift's ability to be used in the pass and the run game. You add that to all what we already have in the tight ends and the running backs. And don't overlook getting some of the running backs involved. Some of the wide receivers involved in the running game as well. This Bears team, I'm not trying to say they're going to have a greatest show on turf offense. I want this offense to develop what it's going to be, but we do have a lot of weapons that we can use on the offensive side of the ball for the Chicago Bears this season. I think that's the most important thing. Is Shane Waldron's already talked about it. Taking advantage of mismatches, exploring that, right? Exploring the things that you can do. And that's what I think this offense is going to be trying to fill out in the beginning of the season. And DAndre Swift and everyone else is going to be a big part of that. this offense by the Bears on paper has more talent than what we've had on the offensive side of the ball for a long time. And if Shane Waldron is what it seems like he's cracked up to be, we're going to be able to take advantage of those opportunities as well, something that we just didn't do a whole hell of a lot of. We didn't even create that many mismatches and things like that with Luke Getsy. So Shane Waldron is bringing that, and that's where this offense can find its wrinkles at. That's where it can find its rhythm at, is being in a position where you could take advantage of those opportunities and explore those and exploit those. And if you can, that's where your offense is going to start getting in the rhythm and things like that. And that's where this offense can be dangerous. So, I already said it in the last segment, I love what they've done for Caleb Williams here to really kind of build an offense where he's going to have a lot of different things that he can go to, a lot of tools at his disposal, but also being able to take some of that pressure off. And the run game is going to be a big part of that. And I think DAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert, whatever ends up being the pecking order there, that you have guys that can all do be versatile in several ways. Khalil Herbert was better in the passing game last year than I gave him credit coming into that season. He's not DAndre Swift, though. And we already know with Roschon Johnson how he offers the size, the blocking, and the only downhill runner right now that we have on this team. You add that as an overall core, the fact that Khalil and DAndre Swift can keep some of the same things going on, and then you have that different back in Roschon coming in here, this offense is going to be, let me not say it's going to be, it could be a very fun and exciting offense to see for the Chicago Bears next year. And that's, as a Bears fan, is all I want to see, is that progression, at us looking like a formidable offense, us actually looking like a modern-day offense. That's what I want to see here. And if we can get to that, that's then when you build off of it in the next offseason. See where some of those cracks are. Improve that offensive line so we can get better in whatever aspects that we need to, whether it's getting Caleb Williams a little bit more time or whatever else it is. But the skill positions, if we can lock those in, we need to get DJ Moore locked in, whatever they decide to do with Keenan Allen. But if we do those things, this Bears offense can be a fun one to watch for years and years and years to come. But like I said, my biggest concern has continued to be that offensive line. Because one thing I don't want to have really good skill positions, and then the offensive line is what holds us back. But you guys can let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Now, of course, at this point in the season, we're getting all kinds of things, and ESPN came out already with their 2025 mock draft. And in that, Matt Miller has the Chicago Bears getting Mel Williams with the 17th overall pick there, which, by the way, if they have the Bears picking 17th overall, that may mean that Bears are in playoff contention. And ESPN, you got to kind of read between the lines with them. But Mel Williams out of Georgia is a defensive lineman at 6'5", 265 pounds. He's gotten 4.5 sacks in each of the last 2 seasons, his freshman and sophomore year in college football. And this is a guy who I would love it if the Bears are able to get Mel Williams. That's all I can say. Now, I do think that he could have a big season where he ends up going much higher in the draft than that. It depends on, of course, how things shake out. But the Bears are, or should be, at least right now on paper, looking for a defensive end in next year's draft. I don't think too many Bears fans are going to disagree with that being something that the Bears should be on their target list, as well as offensive linemen. We could go into a very trenches-heavy draft next season for the Chicago Bears, as well as a safety to eventually find somebody to replace Kevin Byard, even though we got that veteran acquisition. So, but Mel Williams being an early target and early somebody to watch for the Chicago Bears as when college football starts, I agree with it. Because if you can get Williams and pair him next to Montez Sweat, and if Javon Dexter has the growth that we're hoping for this season, that's a defensive line that we're talking about being excited for years and years to come for the Chicago Bears. And so, watching these things, and, for those that don't watch college football, let me know down below for sure on some of the things that you would like to see us maybe do. Would you like to see maybe towards the half part of the season us start covering or giving some collegiate players to watch out for and things like that after we kind of feel what some of the shortcomings are for this Bears team? That's something that we haven't really incorporated a lot until the offseason. We go heavily into things like that. But let me know what you guys think and what you guys need. We've always said with this, us building this channel is supposed to be indicative and representative of what the Chicago Bears fans need and want. And so if there's a lane in there that we're not providing a certain amount of coverage or something there for the channel, please let us know that, because we'll be able to do that. But Mel Williams is definitely somebody that I would love to end up being a Chicago Bear. We're way ahead right now for us to even be talking about something like that. But since that article was there, I thought it would be fun to bring it over here and talk a little bit about it, because that is somebody to watch. And if you're looking at kind of Bears prospects or people you would like to see on the Bears to kind of pick and choose which college football games you watch, Mel Williams is definitely one to watch. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into this voicemail. We got one from Darius. We're going to go ahead and play that now.
What's going on, man? Darius from Dallas here. I just had to go and give my rant on this ESPN article, Haize, about Swift not being a good signing. I don't know what it is about ESPN, but they absolutely hate the Bears. If any time, even when we're coming off a good season, if we're getting ranked, they're always gonna give us the lowest ranking. Anytime they showing highlights of a player on the fucking thing, it's always a Bears player. It's always Eddie Jackson's ass back there getting called on every time I see a highlight from another team. But anyway, for them to say that Swift wasn't a good signing, I'm so confused on that because we have not had a explosive home run type running back since we had Matt Forte. If you think about it, like don't get me wrong, Montgomery was a good guy. He was good in between the tackles. He was rugged as hell. When Herbert was in his rookie season, and I think the season after was the season that I thought Herbert really did some good things too. But neither one of them are home run guys. And no, I'm not counting Tariq Cohen. Don't even fucking go there. A guy that can literally take the ball at the 1 yard line and literally, take it to the end zone on the other end. I think he's that type of explosive guy. And you have to have an explosive running back like that. You have to put that fear in the defense that, okay, this guy ain't just going to give me a little, a rough, 10-yard run or a 7, 8 yard run. This guy's trying to take it to the end zone. So we got to put more people in the box. If you want Caleb to go against those boxes that are truly stacked to stop the running back, and that's when you're going to have that play action pass come into play. That didn't work for us last year, man, because our biggest running threat that the defense was scared of was Justin Fields. So yeah, we're doing play action pass, but it's kind of hard to fool the defense for a play action pass when they fear the quarterback running more than they fear the running back running. They react totally different. You want them to bite on that running back handoff. They weren't doing that. They were like, hell what you doing with that handoff? We know we can stop your running back. Justin, we trying to stop you because you're the one that can take it all the way to the house. So now we got a running back where they're actually going to they're going to fear this running back, because he's got home run potential. And if they don't stack 7 or 8 in there and they just going to let this guy, run through the first level of the defense, okay, cool. Look out for a DAndre Swift who has made it past the second level and is in the open field. You saw it with the Eagles last year. I think we're going to see the same thing with him this year. And I want to truly unlock that play action pass. And I think that this running back is going to be the one to finally do it for us. Let me know what y'all think about that, man. Text us up there now.
And I'm glad that I didn't get to play this when you initially left it. We just had multiple voicemails from you. But the DAndre Swift thing is always, like I said, at the top of the set. It's always been a questionable thing. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, the media does always seem like they're ready to crap on the Bears. Not necessarily crap, but doubt on the Bears, right? There's always doubt. And some of that is definitely warranted. I would say most of it is probably warranted because of how the Bears as a franchise have operated for so many years. I can't sit there and tell you like, oh, our team shouldn't get heavy criticism. Our team shouldn't get heavy doubt. No, we should. And we earned it, unfortunately, because of where and how this franchise has performed over years. And so, yeah, you start getting that. But like I've always said, you change the narrative by winning. And so as DAndre Swift, as well as he proves some people wrong, it's going to be what it's going to be there. But I think you're going to see a lot of that overall doubt stop. But as far as to get back focused on DAndre Swift, I think that as long as this offensive line can do enough, you're going to see a DAndre Swift that is going to make an impact for the Chicago Bears team. And like I said earlier, I'm not in no way trying to make it or paint it as DAndre Swift's all of a sudden going to turn into one of the better running backs in the league. Not going to say that. But he is somebody that is going to bring an edge and a needed skill set to this team that we're gonna need. And so what he's able to do with handoffs and being used in the pass game and his decision making and how he does run, right, is what once he gets past that line and into that second level, DAndre Swift brings a lot of exactly what we need here for the Chicago Bears. The bigger question is are we going to be able to get enough out of it? And I have no doubts right now that we are. Of course, that could change once we start seeing this team play. New doubts could arise and things like that. But I'm very confident in DAndre Swift's ability to be our starting running back. And I'm also confident overall in our running back room. I am really confident in the running back room as long as they can stay healthy. Yeah, Deontay Foreman is one that a lot of Bears fans would have loved us to be able to keep because he did play so well for us when he was getting in games. But I think the running back room is going to be one, and I think Shane Waldron is going to use those running backs to the best of their ability. That is one thing he's really good at doing, is using players to their strengths. And that's something I think we're not going to have to worry about with Shane Waldron. And I think overall this offense is going to be in a really good place next year. It's just I don't know when we're going to get there. I've said it before. We got a bye week in week 7. I want to see after that this offense running like a well-oiled machine. It doesn't mean I want them to be trash before then, but I just want them to be that well-oiled machine by then and use that first month and a half of the season to go through their ups and downs. But you guys can let me know what you guys think on all that down below, man. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.